You ever notice how betrayal doesn't knock? It slips in, quiet, like a scent you don't recognize in your own home. That's how it started for me. Not with a confession, not with lipstick on a collar. No, it started with her scarf. The one she left on the passenger seat of my car. She had borrowed it a few days earlier, a soft cream wool thing I gave her last Christmas. Said she loved it because it smelled like me. But when I picked it up to move it, that wasn't my cologne I smelled. It was muskier, expensive, and definitely not feminine. I sat there in the driver's seat, engine off, fingers wrapped around that scarf like it had answers. I lifted it, sniffed again. Then again. It smelled like arrogance. Like hotel lobby cologne. Not something you pick up at Walgreens. No. This was the kind of scent that came with tailored suits and the ability to lie without blinking. She came out of the house, just then, smiling, waving, totally unaware that her scarf had just told on her. "Hey babe," she said, sliding into the passenger seat. "Thanks for letting me borrow this." I handed it to her slowly. "Sure. Smells different now." She laughed, casual. "Oh, yeah." I sprayed a little of my coworker's cologne on it. We had a scent testing thing at work. You know how those creative brainstorms get. I nodded, smiled, and logged the lie. You learn something after being married to someone for almost a decade. You learn their tells. The little ways their eyes dodge when they're fabricating stories. The way they overshare details, trying too hard to sound normal. And most of all, you learn to listen to your gut. My gut didn't whisper. It screamed. But I said nothing. Just drove us to the dinner we were already late for. Small talk. A few laughs. She played her part perfectly. And me? I watched. I didn't accuse. I observed. That's how you catch the truth. Not by yelling, not by begging, but by waiting. The real bomb dropped the next day. I came home early from work. Something about a canceled meeting and a headache I faked. And there she was, in the kitchen, face lit by the glow of her phone. Smiling. Not a casual smile either. This was the kind you give someone who makes you feel new again. Someone who sees you the way your husband hasn't in years. Or so she probably told him. She didn't hear me at first. I stood in the hallway just out of sight, my briefcase still in hand, watching her twist a strand of hair, listening to her whisper something I couldn't quite make out. And then she said it, low, soft, like it was their little secret. "I missed you too." There it was. 3 words. And the end of something I thought was permanent. But I still didn't confront her. Why? Because I wasn't ready to play my cards. Not yet. She ended the call, turned, and jumped a little when she saw me. "Oh, you're home early." "Yeah," I said, hanging my coat. "Meeting got canceled. Figured we could grab lunch." She blinked. Just once. "Of course. Let me get dressed." And just like that, she disappeared down the hallway, as if nothing had happened, as if her phone didn't still carry the warmth of another man's voice. I stood there in the quiet, let it all settle. And that's when the real plan started forming in my mind. Not revenge, not yet. Just clarity. Because sometimes, when someone hands you a story, you don't interrupt them. You let them talk. You let them build it. And you take notes. That night, while she was in the shower, I checked the scarf again. Folded neatly on her vanity now. Still reeking of him. But this time, buried underneath it in the drawer, was something else. A hotel room key. With a date on it. Last weekend. And just like that, the scent had a name. They say trust is built like a bridge, plank by plank, over time. But when it breaks, it doesn't crack gently. It snaps. Fast. Loud. Echoing in your head like a gunshot in a canyon. And standing there in the bathroom doorway, with that hotel key in my hand, I heard the echo loud and clear. Room 428. The Avalon Hotel. Saturday. She told me she'd been at her sister's place that weekend. Said they needed girl time. Wine. Netflix. Face masks. The kind of evening that sounded innocent enough to ignore. I even texted her goodnight. She replied with a heart emoji. Meanwhile, room 428. I stared at the key card like it might confess to something. But it just sat there, small and smug, tucked between silk scarves and secrets. "Dinner's ready," she called from downstairs. "Hope you're hungry." I was. Just not for food. At the table, she was all smiles. She wore that little green sweater I loved, the one she knew I loved. She even made my favorite, garlic chicken with roasted potatoes. I looked down at the plate. It smelled like comfort. Like normal. Like marriage. But I knew better now. Between bites, I asked casually, "Hey, how was your sister's place last weekend?" She didn't flinch. Nice. Relaxing. We binge-watched that cooking show you hate. You didn't post anything. I needed a break from screens. She was good. I'll give her that. Smooth. Practiced. Like someone who's rehearsed for this role 100 times before stepping on stage. After dinner, she sat beside me on the couch. Her legs draped over mine. Head on my shoulder. We watched some show I can't even remember because I wasn't really watching. I was calculating. Not just what she was doing, but what I was going to do next. See, a younger version of me would have blown up right there. Screamed. Demanded answers. But that version of me was dead the second I smelled him on her scarf. This version? He was patient. He knew that catching a lie isn't about the first move. It's about the final act. Later that night, while she slept, breathing soft and shallow, like nothing in her world was broken, I slipped out of bed and grabbed my keys. The Avalon wasn't far. A 20-minute drive if you hit the green lights. I parked across the street. Just sat there, looking at the place. Bright. Clean. A little too perfect. The kind of hotel that caters to business trips and carefully organized betrayal. The clerk inside didn't even blink when I walked in. Checking in, she asked, robotic smile locked in place. Actually, I said, sliding the keycard across the desk, left something in my room last week. Room 428. She looked at the keycard, typed something into her computer. I'm sorry, sir, but this room was checked out Sunday morning. You'd need a reservation confirmation to get back in. Was it under the name Ashley Clements? She hesitated. I'm sorry, I can't give out that information. But that hesitation told me everything I needed. So I smiled. Thanks. Back in the car, I stared at my reflection in the rearview mirror and said out loud, you didn't just cheat on me, Ashley. You made me the audience. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of her humming in the kitchen. She placed a mug of coffee beside me. Hey, she said, cheerful, you left your jacket in the car. I brought it in. I froze. Because in the left pocket was the hotel keycard. But it wasn't there anymore. It was on the nightstand. She had seen it. And now we were playing the same game. When you find yourself playing chess with someone you used to hold hands with, that's when you know love's been replaced. With calculation. She placed the keycard on my nightstand like a threat dipped in politeness. No note. No explanation. Just there. As if to say, I know you know. Now what are you going to do about it? I picked it up slowly. Turned it in my fingers. Room 428 still shimmered in that subtle gold font. Funny how a number can become a curse. It wasn't just a room anymore. It was a monument to everything I didn't see coming. Downstairs, she was laughing at something on her phone. The same phone she once used to send me heart emojis and be safe texts. Now it was the red light district of her double life. I took a breath and walked into the kitchen. She glanced up, eyes cool and unreadable. You found it, she said, gesturing to the card. I didn't answer. I just raised an eyebrow. She took a sip of coffee, leaned against the counter, and crossed her arms. You went through my things. That's new. You left it in my car. Did I? Her tone was syrupy, sweet with a sour aftertaste. Maybe you just don't trust me anymore. I smiled. A real, calm smile. Should I? She looked at me like I was a puzzle she'd already solved. Logan, we've both been distant lately. I think we're reading too much into small things. Right. Like how your scarf smells like another man's cologne. Or how you lie with the confidence of a TED Talk speaker. I didn't push. Not yet. I just watched her. Carefully. That day, I started testing her. Dropped breadcrumbs. Thinking of taking a weekend trip, I said later that night. Just need some space to clear my head. She didn't ask where. Or why. She just nodded, too quickly. Good idea, she said. We both need a reset. She was already planning to use my absence. That weekend, I didn't go anywhere. I parked 2 blocks away and watched our house from my car, engine off, windows cracked. Hours passed. Nothing. Then at 9:13 p.m. sharp, a black sedan pulled up. He didn't knock. She let him in. I didn't move. I didn't scream. I didn't run toward the door like a man in a romance film desperate to win back his cheating muse. No. I watched. And when the lights in the bedroom flicked off at 9:37, I wrote it down. Timestamped it. Then I did what any betrayed husband with a dash of dignity and a side of strategy would do. I waited. The next morning, she was back to smiles and fresh pancakes, acting like the world was whole. I took a bite, chewed slowly, looked her right in the eye and asked, So, how was your night? She didn't even blink. Lonely, she said. Missed you. And that's when I knew. She was going to lie until the end, but I wouldn't need her to confess, because by next week, she'd see exactly how poetic I could be. Some people rage. Some cry. Me? I plan. Because nothing stings a liar more than being exposed by silence. I didn't confront her that Sunday morning. I didn't mention the black sedan, the lights, the timestamped truth. I sat across from her, chewing pancakes soaked in deceit, and smiled like the idiot she thought I still was. Let her believe that. Let her keep thinking she was the director and I was still bumbling through her script. Because while she plotted betrayal over hotel linens, I was sketching something far colder. Something that didn't need fists or fury, just precision. Monday morning, I slipped into her routine, kissed her cheek, told her to have a good day. She smiled, a little too wide, a little too relieved. I watched her drive away through the kitchen blinds. Then I went to work. Her laptop was on the dining table, password protected, sure, but nothing too clever. She always used our anniversary for everything. Cute. Inconveniently stupid. Once inside, it was like opening a window into her second life. Emails. Calendar entries. A folder labeled projects, which, ironically, had no work documents in it. Instead, screenshots. Photos. Hotel receipts. I didn't look at all of them. Just enough. Enough to know he was older. Enough to see that the scarf hadn't been the first item marked by him. Or the last. There was even a saved draft of a letter to him. Logan is starting to suspect. I think it's time. Time for what? To leave me? To humiliate me? Or just to see if I'd break? Nah, not yet. That night, I made a few small changes. Swapped her scarf for a new one, identical in color, cheaper in sole. Slipped a note inside the lining. Not a threat. Just 4 words. I see you, Ashley. No signature. No clue. Just a whisper delivered by fabric. Tuesday, she wore the scarf again. Took it from the closet like it hadn't betrayed both of us. But when she came home that night, her hands were trembling. I think someone followed me, she said, trying hard to sound casual. Oh, yeah, I found something. In my scarf. Really? I sipped my coffee. What was it? She studied me. But I kept my eyes on the window. Calm. Bored, even. She didn't know if I was playing dumb or playing God. And that's exactly where I wanted her. That night, I left the house again. Told her I had a work thing. She didn't ask questions. She was too busy unraveling. Except I didn't go far. I parked in the same spot. Watched the same scene repeat. The same car. The same time. Only this time, I had a camera. And I wasn't just taking pictures of the house. I zoomed in. To their hands. To her face. To the way she looked at him like I'd never existed. And I pressed capture. Once. Twice. Then I smiled. Because I wasn't collecting evidence for court. I was collecting poetry. Back at home, she was waiting up. Eyes red. Scarf folded neatly on the table. I found your little note, she said, voice shaking just enough. What note? She didn't answer. She didn't need to. Because that was the moment I knew. She was no longer sure if she was the hunter or the prey. The beauty of a well-placed seed isn't how fast it grows. It's how deep it takes root, right under the surface, where you can't see it. But it's working. Ashley didn't bring up the note again. But the scarf disappeared. She started triple-checking the locks at night. Her phone never left her palm. Even during dinner, she kept glancing at it like it held the answers to a test she hadn't studied for. Something's off at work, she said on Thursday. Tense energy lately. Everyone's acting strange. I nodded slowly. Maybe you're just projecting. She tilted her head, eyes narrowing. Projecting what? I shrugged. I don't know. Guilt? Paranoia. She laughed. Tight. Hollow. Don't be dramatic. But her hands were shaking. I didn't press. I just offered her a glass of wine, knowing she wouldn't drink it. She didn't. Set it down. Forgot about it. Spent the rest of the night on the couch pretending to read. I pretended not to notice. The next morning, I left her a small gift on the kitchen counter, a black envelope. No name. Just a silver wax seal she didn't recognize, something classy, impersonal, corporate. Inside, 2 photographs. Her. Him. Standing too close in the Avalon Hotel parking lot. No kisses. No touching. Just proximity. Suggestive. Intentional. She called me at work an hour later. Logan, did you send me something? Nope. Why? She hesitated. It's nothing. Just weird mail. Throw it out then. Silence. I imagined her holding the photos like evidence she couldn't turn in, because the detective and the suspect were the same person now. She was unraveling. That night, she didn't mention the photos. Not directly. Instead, she lit candles, played our old playlist, wore the navy dress I once called dangerous. She was trying to reset us. To pretend. I watched her dance in the living room, barefoot on the hardwood, swaying like a woman in a perfume ad who hadn't shattered a marriage. "You haven't said much tonight," she whispered. "I'm just taking it in." She stepped closer, pressed a hand to my chest. "I've missed this." I looked down at her. This what? Being honest? Or just pretending I'm someone else? Her hand fell away. And just like that, the music didn't sound so soft anymore. Later, I found her in the bathroom. Door cracked open, her scarf in her hands again, turning it over, searching it like it might confess. I leaned in the doorway. "Looking for something?" She jumped. "No. Just wondering where the tag went." "Oh, I replaced that scarf." "You what?" I smiled gently. The old one smelled weird. She stared at me the way someone stares at a painting and suddenly sees the face hidden in the brushstrokes. It wasn't about the scarf. Not really. It was about what it meant now. That night, she couldn't sleep. I heard her pacing, pouring a drink, flipping light switches, opening drawers. At 3:47 a.m., I woke up to the sound of her whispering into her phone. "We need to talk. I think he knows." I smiled in the dark. Because she was wrong. I didn't think anymore. I knew. You ever watch someone try to walk across a floor they know is rigged, but they don't know where? Every move becomes a gamble. Every sound, a possible click beneath their feet. That's what she looked like now. Ashley wasn't sleeping, wasn't smiling, wasn't humming in the mornings or asking me if I wanted sugar in my coffee. She was watching me. Not lovingly, not curiously. No, she was watching me the way a thief watches a security guard. Because something had shifted, and she knew it. She just didn't know when. Friday morning, she came downstairs dressed for work, a crisp blazer, flawless makeup, but her eyes betrayed her. Puffy. Underslept. "I was thinking," she said, too casually, "we should take a trip." "Oh, yeah. Maybe that little cabin we went to 2 summers ago. The one with no cell service. No distractions, huh?" I said, sipping my coffee. Perfect for getting off the grid. She smiled, but her fingers were white-knuckling the edge of the counter. "Exactly." I nodded slowly. "Let's plan something soon." What I didn't say, I already had a trip in mind. For her. That afternoon, I paid a visit to a little art gallery downtown. The kind of place she never liked. Too quiet, she used to say. Too sterile. Perfect. I spoke with the owner, a friend of a friend, and arranged a private showing, one night only. I booked it under her maiden name. The invitation? Simple. A black envelope. Same seal. Same handwriting. Inside, a typed note. "One night only. The exhibition of your life. 8 p.m. Don't be late. Bring no one." I left it in her glove box. She'd find it on her lunch break. She did. Because when she came home that night, she wasn't talking about cabins anymore. She was quiet. I starting. Mind spinning. And then she did something unexpected. She asked me if I still loved her. I looked her dead in the eye and said, "Why? Are you afraid I don't?" "No," she whispered. "I just want to make sure we're okay." I nodded. "We will be." I didn't lie. We would be. Eventually. At 7:58 p.m., I sat in the gallery's back room, watching through a small black monitor. She walked in alone. Confused. The lights were low. The music soft. Jazz, I think. Something moody. On the walls, a series of framed prints. Black and white photos. Artistic. Clean. But if you looked close, they weren't stock photos. They were hers. Backs of heads. Reflections in hotel windows. A silhouette through rain-blurred glass. All taken from just far enough away that she couldn't deny it was her. But not close enough to scream scandal. A game of almosts. In the center of the room, on a pedestal, sat a glass box. Inside, the scarf. Perfectly folded. A small card beneath it read, "The relic of a fraudulent wife, anonymous donor." She stood frozen. She didn't cry. Didn't scream. She just stood there. And I watched. From behind the glass. She left the gallery 15 minutes later, walking fast, hands shaking, glancing behind her like the walls might follow. And when she got home, she didn't say a word. She just crawled into bed beside me and whispered, "Who are you?" I didn't answer, because that was the wrong question. The real question was, who did you think I was? The next morning, she didn't touch her coffee. Didn't touch me either. Just sat in silence, eyes fixed on her phone screen like it was a lifeline. Like maybe he had the words I wouldn't give her. He didn't. Because I made sure he'd be very quiet for the foreseeable future. No, not that kind of quiet. Relax. Remember, this story doesn't end in fists or flames. It ends with something colder, cleaner. The kind of revenge that leaves bruises on the soul, not the skin. The night after the gallery, I made a call. One I'd been planning for weeks. I had dug deep, deeper than she thought possible. The guy? Let's call him Oliver. Her coworker. Just a friend. The man whose cologne clung to the scarf like guilt with a top note of bergamot. Turns out, Oliver had a wife. And 2 daughters. And a mortgage just barely being held up by his fragile, shiny reputation. So I sent his wife a package. Photos. Emails. The hotel receipts. Oh, and a little type note. Sorry to be the messenger, but you deserve the whole story. No return address. No fingerprints. No need. Ashley didn't know it yet, but her affair was about to become a 2-player apocalypse. The fallout came fast. 3 days later, Oliver didn't show up to work. 2 more, and Ashley came home early. Eyes red. Purse heavy. I need to tell you something, she said. I tilted my head. You sure? Sounds dangerous. She swallowed. Oliver's wife found out. She thinks it was me who told her. I leaned back, arms crossed. Wasn't it? She blinked. No. I mean, why would I? That doesn't make sense. I shrugged. Neither does cheating on your husband with someone who uses grocery store mints and calls you babe, like it's a magic trick. She exhaled, long and sharp. This wasn't just about that. Oh, do tell. I didn't feel seen anymore, Logan. You stopped being with me. You were physically there but emotionally gone. Ah, yes. The cheat sheet from the unfaithful spouse handbook. Blame the loyalty. Justify the disloyalty. I nodded slowly. And this was your solution? Late-night hotel room soul-searching? She looked at me then, really looked. And for a second, she wasn't composed. She was hollow. Do you still love me? She whispered. That was the second time she asked that question. And this time? I answered. No, 2 days later, I left a typed letter on her vanity. No name. Just, Ashley, read this before you decide what kind of woman you're going to be next. Inside, I wrote not about the affair, but about the woman she used to be. The one who laughed at my dumb jokes in the produce aisle. The one who once cried with joy when we painted the nursery for a baby we never got to meet. The one who stood beside me at my mother's funeral without saying a word, just holding my hand, because that's all I needed. That woman was real. But she was gone, buried under excuses, washed away in hotel sinks, perfumed over with cologne she couldn't pronounce. And I ended the letter like this. I forgive you, not because you deserve it, but because I do. She didn't talk to me for 3 days after that. And for the first time in a long time, the silence wasn't cold. It was clean. Like the moment after a storm when the world stills and you realize the only thing left to do is rebuild or leave. I didn't throw her out. Didn't burn her clothes. Didn't scream in the driveway like a soap opera widower. I just started packing. 1 box at a time. My books. My tools. My things. She watched me. Sometimes from the stairs. Sometimes from the kitchen doorway. One night, she finally said it. Where will you go? Someplace honest. She didn't respond. Because what could she say? Stay? Let's pretend? No. We were past that. On the last day, I left her the house. Yeah, all of it. Some men cling to assets like it's the last life raft on a sinking marriage. Not me. Because this place? It was already haunted. By whispers. By perfume. By the lies she rehearsed in the mirror while I was still out earning us a future. She could keep the walls. I'd take my piece. Weeks passed. And one day, I mailed her one final envelope. Inside was the scarf. Freshly dry-cleaned. Folded perfectly. And beneath it, a note on the same cream stationery she used to buy for love letters. Only 4 words. You always smelled like someone else. No signature. No return address. Just closure. Or a reminder. Depends on the day. I didn't leave to escape her. I left to reclaim myself. And I'll tell you something, revenge doesn't always come with fire and fury. Sometimes it just walks away. Unbothered. Unbroken. And unmistakably done.